This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Most importantly, thanks for listening. This is Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. It's all powered by Bowen Wealth. You can get more when you visit bowenwealth.com, and you can find that and all the information in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. Brandon, we talk about it every week. The key is to help you get to retirement on your time frame and on your schedule. Not your boss's schedule, not your bank's schedule, on your schedule. And with that being said, Brandon, BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, almost $12 trillion.
Oh, gosh.
No, right? CEO Larry Fink believes that there is a retirement crisis in America because Social Security facing possible benefit cuts and adults may not have saved enough. So what's his answer? Rethink the traditional retirement age of 65 because it's outdated.
I believe for those who can and they find purpose in work, my gosh, work as long as you can. You think about the miracles of technology and how it transforms our lives and extends our life. Can we afford that longevity? And our entire retirement system was based on statistics that were created 50 years ago, whereby most Americans retired between 60 and 62 then, but most Americans then passed away at 67. And today, statistically, a couple 60 years old in good health, one of them is going to live over 90.
Real quick, does Larry Fink sound a little bit like Bill Murray? Let's get a little twinge.
You're right. Yes.
His point being 65 retirement age. I feel like we talk about it too. It just seems like everybody says, I want to retire at 65. What's your take?
Yeah. Well, he's totally right on that stat about, if you're both mostly healthy, you and your spouse, and you're 60, statistics show that, one of you is going to make it to at least age 90. That's mind-blowing for a lot of people. Like 90, oh my gosh, there's no way. But, health care, right? We're taking better care of ourselves, and we're making America healthy again, hopefully, all these good things. So we probably are living longer. That's why the, longevity now for Social Security and things and those break-even points are closer to age 80, just like that, the life expectancy. But yes, as we plan retirement plans, as I sit there and put these things together, it's this tension. And you listening, you feel it. I know you felt it. You talk about it all the time when people pick up the phone and come into the office. It's that thought of like, okay, how do we make sure that we don't spend too much too quick? And also, I don't want to spend too little too late. It's the tension between, spending and saving. Yeah. And during your working years, as we've been saving for retirement, the name of the game was save, invest for retirement, right? And you kind of that Dave Ramsey slap your hand. If you spend money, you got to be disciplined here for that distant date of retirement. So we've been coached to save for retirement. Then when we get to retirement, now it's like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. People asking for permission to spend their own money. And I try to go ahead and put it on the table. I try to, as I build my plan for you, I want to find out what is the honest number that you need that has a little bit of margin in there. And then I even like to go just a little bit over, round up, maybe to the nearest $1,000 per month, right? I want to have a little surplus coming in that is kind of building almost like a dam, like for a creek or something. I want it to kind of build and pool in your checking account each month. And then maybe, after about a quarter, 3 months, 4 months, you're like, hey, would you look at that? There's $10,000 that has built up, and let's take a trip, honey. Yeah. Let's spend it. So you don't have to feel like that you need to do anything behind my back. We've already talked about it. Or maybe it's a big purchase, a boat, a car, a renovation there at the house, maybe the pool for the grandkids.
Sorry to interrupt you, Brandon, but you said do stuff behind my back. Like, do you feel like people feel like they're doing something wrong by spending their money?
Yes, I would say that a lot of times when people come in from other advisors. Yes. Okay. Maybe they didn't have the best relationship with that advisor, or that advisor would slap their hand for pulling any of their money out. I've talked about one of my more wealthy households, over $5 million invested, investable assets here, and their advisor wouldn't even let them pull out $10,000. And I was like, stop. What the heck? What do you mean? Number one, it's your money. Number two, you can afford it. So yes, so I do see that people come in almost like, a wounded dog that's been abused or something, where they've been, told or coached that they can't do that and been disciplined on spending their own money, and that's what my planning process does, is it gives you an income plan, a spending plan, having permission plan, So here's what we do. Let me kind of talk through some of the things that we will discuss because yes, we've got to save, but you're also not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've done segments on rocking chair regrets. It's maybe one of you is now left and you are regretting you didn't spend that money. You guys didn't take that trip. Your spouse has passed, right? Something like that. And you're just regretting some missed opportunities and you've got millions in the bank. Okay. Like those are rocking chair regrets. And so when I put plans together and I start to see, with our Monte Carlo analysis and all of our spending plans and everything that we do with our robust software, when I start to see, people getting around 80, 90, 100 years old and there's, multiple seven figures, I'm like, I don't even like this plan because you might see all that money, but I would say, you didn't spend enough. You didn't have fun. Well, here's a good question, Mark, that I always ask people as we get going. I say, do you want to bounce your last check or do you want to pass on as much money as possible?
What's the most common response?
Bounce my last check. Yes. There might be a spouse that goes like, but what about, and if they got, a one child or something or whatever, maybe the wife wants to pass. And I'm like, that's great. Let's allocate some for them. And then once they're good, what's that number? Okay. How much do we want to pass away? Then fine. Now you guys can enjoy the rest of it, the majority, right? So I just need you to be honest with me. And so here's what we've done this with some clients that I'm actually in the process here of planning this out. I'm showing them this plan. The secret is to plan for all of these outcomes. Okay, let's plan on longevity. Let's plan on passing away early, right? It might seem like, how in the world can you do that? But here's how we do it. So this husband, he is 58 years old and the wife is 55. And they came in, they said, Brandon, we want to retire in 6 months. And I said, make sure you put these ages down, 58 and 55, right? And of course they look young, healthy, great, in shape, all this stuff. And I was like, I love it. Let's dive in. Let me roll up my sleeves. The good news is they had saved $3 million, had saved well, but they want to spend well. Also, they want to spend about $200,000 a year. So what we do then is we start allocating. I said, all right, what we need to do, we're going to be taking a portion of this life savings and we're going to ensure that you never run out of income because we can do that. There's insurance companies out there. And what I'm talking about here are some of the best no risk, no fee fixed indexed annuities. So we'll take a little bit, drop it right in there. And that insurance company is going to say, thank you very much. We're going to protect your money for you and we're going to pay you guaranteed lifetime income for the rest of both of your lives. Okay. And if you guys both pass away here, sooner than anybody hoped for or expected or whatever, then there'll be this death benefit. We're not going to keep your money, right? So that's beautiful. We're going to have that income plan right there. We've got Social Security eventually, not right now, right? But we're going to be able to start that eventually and bring some money alongside that. We've also got to watch what tax status we're pulling money from, right? Because, right, if we touch some of these tax deferred accounts before age 59 and a half, you're looking at a 10% IRS penalty. Nobody likes that. So we've got to watch, our tax statuses. What moves can we make now, especially if you're, if you're under 59 and a half, then we're going to take a big chunk, the biggest chunk here of their, retirement savings there. And we're going to position it where we can create memories each and every day. Okay. Create memories. And what we do, what I'm talking about there is having an extremely diversified investment portfolio with dividend paying stocks in there, low cost ETFs in there, maybe structured bank notes. Okay. There's so many different things where we can really, like if you go to Vegas and you want to put your chips down on all these different numbers, right? You want to spread what's the likelihood? Maybe, you want to just kind of spread out that risk, diversify. Do we have any real estate? Rental income, because we've got to plan on, some of those underperforming at certain times, some things excelling. And so once you have this plan in place, now imagine that, they're retiring early. Maybe you listening, you're in your 60 to 65 range here. And once you get this plan in place, you now can focus on just living your best life.
Yeah.
Retiring there, leaving that legacy, taking the trips. If both you and your spouse are still alive, and you want to take these trips that you've always been putting off or even take the trip, but stay a little bit longer, like for a month somewhere, especially if it's a long time zone. I tell you what, when, you go to like Hawaii or something or Europe or whatever, it's like, you don't want to cram that in 7 days because it takes, a couple days on both sides.
I went to Ireland. My big brother lives in Ireland and it's a 5-hour time change. and the jet lag just destroyed me. It takes you like 2 days to get over the jet lag.
Right.
And then you start enjoying your vacation, and it's like, nope, time to come back. And then you get back to the States, and you're like, here's that jet lag again.
Yes. You can't even enjoy like the last day or two because it's tainted, because you're like, dang it, we got to leave. Now I can't, you're already starting to, your mind's going back to what's waiting on you at work, back home, or responsibilities or what, so I want you to be able to enjoy these things. Now let's start taking the kids or the grandkids, these big trips. We're talking, 10, 20 plus people now that you are paying for because you have the plan in place.
My mom took all the boys and all the grandkids and all the daughters-in-law, took us all to Disney a couple of years ago. And it was one of her most proud moments.
Wow.
She was able to pay for it. She's retired. She's been saving up for a long time. And this was just like her biggest, proudest moment as Graham. And she still talks about it to this day.
Yep. And, the grandkids are going to talk about it.
Yep.
I know my grandfather on my mom's side took us to Disney, and I'm sitting here talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And this was back in the late 80s. We went there and all that. So, yes, that's your legacy.
Somebody's listening this weekend and they're going, that's what I want. I want to be able to take those trips for as long as I want to. I want to be able to take the grandkids on these one-of-a-kind experiences. Where do we start?
Start by grabbing that cell phone. I know it's right beside you. Grab the cell phone. Let me give you our number, and you can send a quick text or you can call. Both of those options are going to go straight to Tanya. She's standing by right now. And that number is 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. If you're shooting a text, just text the word income plan. She'll know exactly what you want. She'll text you back. Very good. Do you have just a few minutes right now, or do you want us to call you on Monday? But the idea is come into the office here and let's just continue this conversation. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you feel like you're missing right now. If you have a current advisor, why are they not giving you what you deserve? And that is an income plan, right? And so once you have this income plan in place, that's the one piece. That's what the number one concern for people is running out of money, right? That's the number one every year. And so I know it's your concern. And what we can do is start looking at the hard work that you've done, and then how much of your income do you want to have guaranteed or protected, right? There's some people that say, hey, I want, of what I need, let's maybe make 25 or 35% protected. And then the rest I want to keep, nice and defensive, but let's keep it liquid and growing in the market. There's some people might say, I want the opposite, Brandon. I want like 70% to be no sweat. Even if I go completely broke, I want to know that I've got a certain amount of money coming in.
Yep.
Even if we're out of gas, we have ran out of money and had longevity, thank the Lord, but I want to make sure that we've got enough money for dignity. So then you just start telling me what feels the best. How much, volatility are you okay with in your portfolio? And then it's my job to go get to work and provide you exactly what you're looking for.
Again, that number is 843-890-2400. You can call, you can text 843-890-2400. And you can text the word income plan. And I've seen this firsthand with Tanya. It's literally 3 and 4 back and forth text. Hey, give me a name. What's the best phone number to reach you at? And when's a good time to sit down with Brandon? That's all it takes this weekend. Just a couple of minutes to begin this conversation. And if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your retirement, that initial consultation, no cost, no obligation. Again, 843-890-2400. Brandon, I love that you said that. No rocking chair regrets in retirement. So I know in your household, you've got teenage daughters. In my household, I've got a preteen. And I don't know if you went through this phase, but we're going through this phase where we're kind of getting away from like the Disney princess movies and TV shows. Now she's all about like the baking shows and the cooking shows. Like Nailed It, the Great Baking Cook-Off. And I don't know what it is. For the past, it feels like month, we've been watching like the Junior British Bake Off. It's not current. It's like 5 years old. But these kids over in London, making these pies and, and these crazy fritters and everything that we've never heard
really
of.
good stuff, like talented.
Yeah, and that's what's depressing is this 12-year-old just made a 5-course meal, and I'm like, you're eating a bowl of cereal. Well, speaking of food, Alton Brown, host of Food Network's hit shows, Good Eats and Iron Chef, he's got a new book out. It's called Food for Thought, and he writes in that book that he hates the word chef. He told CBS Mornings exactly why he hates the word chef.
Chef is a word that we have simply used in food media to explain why anyone has a white jacket. And certainly in food media, we need it. And so half of these people aren't chefs. Half of these people don't know the sharp end of a knife. We're going to call them chef because then it makes the audience think, oh, well, then they've cast the finest culinarians in the land.
I blame Gordon Ramsay in Hell's Kitchen.
Yes,
yes,
absolutely,
chef.
100%.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Alton Brown talks about how he hates the word chef. But for you, Brandon Bowen, not everyone offering financial advice is a qualified advisor like you are. So how do you find out if someone is qualified to handle your finances and, more importantly, help you prepare for retirement?
Yeah, gosh, we've exposed so many examples here on the show over the years. Mm-hmm. Of people giving like incorrect advice. Financial professional, you can't see my air quotes right here.
Right.
There's a commercial, I think a Schwab commercial. Tell me if you saw this, Mark.
Okay.
And so there's a husband and wife sitting there and they're watching, this well-dressed guy, and he's kind of going over some charts and explaining things. And then those investors, they say, okay, this sounds good. Let's do it. They bought into the plan.
Right.
Okay. And then he reaches back and kind of undoes his man bun, and his hair, long hair falls out. And then he starts playing a video of him. He's like the drummer in this rock band.
Yep.
I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, crap, like at first, like it bothered me, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I love it. I love that because it helps people start asking the right questions, right? More than are you a fiduciary, right? Because guess who else was a fiduciary?
Who?
Bernie Madoff. Okay. He was a fiduciary. So, just coming and saying, are you a fiduciary? I'm like, yes, I am. I have the licenses where I have to act in your best interest, but so did Bernie Madoff.
Right.
Okay. So let me think just a couple quick funny people that we've talked about before. There was one lady, we played a clip here maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and she was giving this Social Security advice about spousal benefits. And she was like, ladies, did you know that you could go, even if your husband hasn't started his Social Security, you could go start your own spousal benefit. And I went off on it. I was like, that's incorrect. You can't do that if your spouse hasn't started their benefit, right? And her handle was Yoga Mama. I was like, okay, right. Stick to what you know, Yoga
stick
Mama.
Stick to downward dog. No, don't stick to him.
Yes.
Spousal benefits.
And then who can't, Ken Fisher, right? You got Ken Fisher there blowing up all the banners saying, all annuities are bad, even making statements like, I'd rather die and go to hell than sell someone an annuity. And I'm like, okay, brother.
Little dramatic. And there's no perfect product out there, but there's nice tools, and you can start building a nice tool belt based on what you need, what you want. And there are, if you don't like an annuity, then you better show me something else that has either no or very, very little risk. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's see. What about this? You listening, you might have received this in your mail, an invitation for a free steak dinner. Yes.
Okay. I even get them. I don't know why I get them. I'm not that age, but of course I kind of check out my competition here when I get them in the mail. But a free steak dinner. Are those people giving those steak dinners? Are they true financial advisors, true retirement planners, or are they just, I would say, slinging, annuities or maybe high cost mutual funds? So you really got to pull back the curtain here. And so what I want to do now, I want to give you some really good, poignant questions. These are some really good questions that you should be asking your current advisor. Okay. If you feel like you can't ask these questions, I would say, number one, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because it is your money. It is a privilege for me to manage your money. If that has kind of lost its way here, and you feel like, it's a privilege for you to be working with that planner or that advisor or that broker, then, they need a wake up call. Right. Okay. So here's some good questions I think that would really get the discussion started. And the first is, and by the way, I would say you can email these to your current planner and ask for his or her answer in the email. So it's in writing. Okay. It is in writing. And so you could say, who pays you? What are my annual advisor fees that I'm paying? And also a follow-up kind of, will this be visible on my monthly statement?
And if they start any of those answers with, well,
can I call you?
Well, it's deeper than just a one-worded answer. It's a
That's right. It's complicated. I'm like, I don't think it is that complicated, right?
All right.
What are my total expense ratios and other junk fees that I'm paying? What are the expense ratios for the investments that you have me invested in? We should know this. We should know what we're putting our clients in. We should know what the average expense ratio is for this portfolio, for this annuity, for this whatever, and even an overall blended fee. What are you paying there, right? So you need to know that. Here's a good question. How much guaranteed lifetime income does my plan produce? Even if I'm completely broke. So that's good to know. So like, okay, my advisor, let's say I'm completely out of money. How much guaranteed income will still be coming in? Mm-hmm. And if they say, well, Social Security, if it's still around, I would be like, you better start getting some second opinions, right? Because if they're trying to lead you into retirement and your only guarantees as much as Social Security is guaranteed, I mean, how confident are you that that's not going to be cut? So you've got to have some more protected income sources in there. So they should be able to tell you that. Here's a good question. Can you buy individual stocks for me? If I want an individual stock, if I really like a certain company, can you go buy that individual stock for me? Because kind of inside baseball here, some people with their licenses, they can't do that. All they can buy are some of these high cost mutual fund portfolios. Okay. They can't go in there and give you a super surgical, thoughtful portfolio invested in individual stocks.
Right.
Okay. Will you use, low cost ETFs, no costly mutual funds? That's what we do at Bowen Wealth. We like low cost ETFs because the cost there is like 0.03%, 0.04%, ultra low cost, as opposed to a mutual fund that might have a 1% expense ratio plus your 1 to 1.5 advisor fee that you're paying. So you get the drift here. There's a lot of things that we can do, that I can do in the seat that I sit in as your advisor. There's a lot of things that will kind of pad my pocket and not yours.
Right.
Okay. And you need to know who's getting paid, who's making the money here. Mark, when people come in, they're like, I think you got to get paid for your services, right? For what you do. I'm not asking for a free ride or sure, whatever, but I want it to be, number one, transparent. I deserve transparency. You do. You deserve something diversified, tax efficient, right? Income driven. You need portfolios that, that would be how you would describe these portfolios. Your plan there, something was transparent. So when you go pull up your monthly statement, it should say on there, monthly advisor fee. Boom, right there it is.
Brandon, somebody's listening this weekend. Maybe they're working with a big box firm and they hear you talking about some of these questions and they say, you know what, I've never actually asked my current advisor about expense ratios, or we've never really talked about individual stocks. It's been mentioned, but we've never had deeper conversations about it. So if they want to reach out to you, and again, there's nothing wrong with asking the questions, and they say, hey, Brandon, can I get a list of those questions? How can we get that?
Yes. Come into the office, and if you've had that conversation with your current advisor, have or have not, that's fine, but we will do it. I've got the list right here. But if you want the list to take to your other person, then grab your phone. Our number here is 843-890-2400. So Tanya is my assistant. She's standing by right now, and I'm going to give these questions to her. So she will have that and she can just text them right back to you. Some bullet points. It's about 5 bullet points I put together here right before the show. We will text these questions right back to you. And then you can go take that. You can shoot an email, to your current, like I said, get that in writing from them. And then I want to offer for you a complimentary first appointment to come in and sit down with me. And we can go through the exact same questions. And then you got a little column here, a little comparison, like when I go online and I shop, compare, 2 different types of cars or pros and cons. And I'll point out, he or she, that's really good what they're doing right there. Or, well, that's what they said. Well, here's what we do and here's why. So so we can have that conversation and start with just a low stress first appointment. And so that's where we'll sit down, we'll go through those list of questions, and then we can, start to decide, are you and I, are we a good fit? Do you feel like you're not getting retirement specific planning? Maybe you've been with your person for a long time, 20 years, 30 plus years. They might still be up north or even here in town, but they're more of like a growth person and not really doing all the in-depth, getting dirty, rolling the sleeves back and designing a income plan that you can have confidence in. So pick up the phone, 843-890-2400.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. Market Guard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. Market Guard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.